There was a time when Japanese police were driving cars so fast that, honestly, just seeing them in your mirror was enough to make you slow down. But one of these cars went so far beyond that, it was removed from service and never officially explained. Today, we're breaking down the 10 fastest Japanese cop cars ever built. Number 10. Toyota MarkX plus M Supercharger. The MarkX doesn't look like a cop car that would scare anyone. It looks like a normal executive sedan, something you'd park outside in the streets. And that's exactly why it worked. But most drivers had no idea what this car was capable of. Under the hood was a supercharged V6 pushing well over 350 horsepower, sent straight to the rear wheels. And yeah, that already puts it in a completely different league from a normal patrol sedan. The throttle response in this was on point. The power came in instantly, and moreover, it has the rear-wheel drive layout, which helped it launch harder when officers needed sudden speed. On highways, these MarkX patrol cars could close huge gaps in seconds, catching speeding vehicles that thought they were safe just because they didn't see a light bar. And it wasn't just about straight-line speed either. The suspension was tuned stiffer than the regular road car. The brakes were upgraded to handle repeated high-speed stops, and the chassis was built to stay stable when things got messy at highway speeds. Inside, it still looked like a normal sedan, which honestly made it even more dangerous. Nobody expected it to be this quick. The real danger wasn't just the speed, it was how invisible it was until it wasn't. But blending in was only the first phase, because the next car on this list isn't normal at all. Number 9. Mitsubishi Galant VR4. By the time the Galant VR4 entered police service, speeding had moved off the highways and into mountain roads, back streets, and tight city lanes where big sedans couldn't keep up. And that's where this car did something most patrol vehicles couldn't, because it wasn't just fast in a straight line. The Galant VR4 came with turbocharging and all-wheel drive, the same core tech Mitsubishi was using in its rally cars. Under the hood was a turbocharged 2.0-liter four-cylinder, pushing around 240 horsepower and about 225 pound-feet of torque, which might not sound crazy today, but in a full-time AWD sedan back then, it was a serious weapon. The all-wheel drive made sure the power actually hit the road, even when it was wet or messy. So when pursuits moved into the mountains, this thing just came alive. The steering stayed tight, the suspension soaked up rough pavement, and the turbo kept pulling out of corners where normal patrol cars ran out of grip. On twisty Japanese roads, it didn't just chase. It hunted down the drivers who tried to escape into the hills, and quickly realized the Galant didn't lose traction, and yeah, it didn't lose ground either. But Mitsubishi wasn't the only company pulling racing tech into police work, because the next car took that idea and pushed it even further. Number 8. Mazda RX8. Most police cars rely on big, heavy engines. The RX8 was the opposite, light, low, and built around a high-revving rotary that didn't even look like a patrol car on paper. And that strange little engine gave the RX8 an advantage that most other cop cars on this list didn't have. The rotary sat low in the chassis, giving the RX8 near-perfect balance, and you could feel it the moment the car started moving. Under the hood was Mazda's 1.3-liter Renesis rotary, making about 230 horsepower and around 160 pound-feet of torque. That doesn't sound huge, but the way it delivered power was the trick. It loved to rev all the way past 9,000 RPM, so officers could keep it screaming in the power band without the car feeling heavy or slow. The steering was quick, the body stayed flat, and the car just went where you wanted it to. So even when chasing faster cars, the RX8 could hang right there simply because it was so easy to drive hard. That balance and control is what made it work as a high-speed patrol car. But if you thought a rotary-powered police car was unexpected, the next one was on a completely different level. Just before we move on to the rest of the video, could we ask you for a small favor? If you've enjoyed the content so far, could you take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel? Over 98% of viewers watch our videos without subscribing. It costs you absolutely nothing, but it is a really huge help to us. Thanks. Number 7. Nissan Fairlady Z. At some point, Japanese police realized normal sedans weren't enough for rising high-speed chases, so they turned to cars built for speed from the factory. But what made this Z so effective wasn't just how fast it was in a straight line. The Fairlady Z came with a strong 3.5-liter, V6 rear-wheel drive, and that low, wide stance that just feels right the moment you see it. It made around 300 horsepower, and yeah, you could feel every bit of it when the car started pulling. It didn't hesitate, it just went. The weight was low, the hood was long, and the whole car stayed calm even when the speed climbed past what most. The steering was sharp, the brakes were built for hard stops, and the suspension kept it from floating around at high speed. And honestly, that made a huge difference on open highways. For the first time, some drivers realized the police weren't showing up in family sedans anymore. They were chasing you with real performance machines. And once that line was crossed, the next car made things even more serious. And this is where the story quietly shifts. Because one of the cars you're about to see wasn't just fast, it changed how police thought about chasing people in the first place. Most drivers never even realized when that shift happened. Number 6. Subaru Impreza WRX STI. Japan's tight mountain roads, sudden rain, and narrow passes are where a lot of high-speed drivers try to disappear, so the police needed something that could follow them anywhere. And this was the car that made the mountains a bad place to run. The WRX STI brought rally-bred all-wheel drive, turbocharged power, and that kind of grip you'll only get from something built for dirt, snow, and broken roads. Under the hood was a 2.5-liter turbo flat 4, making around 300 horsepower and nearly 300 pound-feet of torque. And yeah, you could feel that shove the second the turbo came in. It didn't wait, it just pulled. And the AWD system was always working in the background, shifting power from front to rear, keeping the car locked in even when the pavement was wet or uneven. The suspension was stiff, the brakes were huge, and the whole thing felt like it was built to be pushed. So when drivers tried to disappear into the hills, the STI just kept coming, like it was right at home up there. But even this rally monster wasn't the fastest thing Japanese police ever used, because the next car was built for pure speed. Number 5. Nissan Skyline GT-R R35. By the late 90s, tuned cars were outrunning normal patrol vehicles, so Japanese police did something nobody expected. They brought in a legend. But this wasn't just a GT-R with police stickers on it. There was a very specific reason this car was chosen over everything else on the road. The R34 GT-R came with that 2.6-liter twin, turbo inline-6, the RB26, pushing close to 280 horsepower stock, and way more once it was let loose. And yeah, the thing loved high speed. The Atisa all-wheel drive system was constantly shifting power around, keeping the car planted even when it was flying down the expressway. The 6-speed Getrag gearbox was tight and quick, so officers could stay right in the power. No drama, just pull and go. And that active rear steering, it helped the car stay stable when lanes started tightening up. So when it showed up behind someone, there was this moment of, yeah, it's over. But even this wasn't the peak of what Japanese police would use, because the next car took the GT-R idea and made it even more extreme. Number 4. Mazda RX7 FD. By the time the RX7 entered police service, chases were about stability as much as speed, and that's where the RX7 changed everything. And what made this car dangerous wasn't just how fast it was how easily it could keep that speed when others couldn't. The twin-turbo rotary engine made the RX7 insanely light and incredibly responsive. Under the hood was Mazda's 13B REW, putting out around 255 horsepower and not a lot of weight, which honestly was the whole trick. The car didn't feel heavy or slow to react, it just moved the second you touched the throttle. The low center of gravity, the wide stance, and the rear-wheel drive layout let it flow through long curves without any problem. The steering stayed calm, the rear stayed planted, and even when speeds climbed way up there, it didn't start feeling sketchy. So yeah, on the expressway, drivers couldn't just wait for a bend and hope the police dropped back. The RX-7 was right there, smooth and steady the whole time. But if the RX-7 was about balance and control, the next car was built for one thing only: raw, unstoppable speed. Number 3. Honda NSX. By the time the NSX entered police service, even sports cars were starting to feel outdated, so police turned to something with real supercar DNA. But the strange part is the NSX wasn't chosen just because it was fast. With its mid-engine layout and lightweight aluminum body, the NSX could stay calm at speeds where most cars started to feel sketchy. Under the hood was a 3.0-liter V6 making around 270 horsepower, mounted right behind the seats, which gave the car this perfect balance that just made high-speed driving feel easy. It didn't wobble, it just tracked straight. The steering was clean, the brakes were huge, and the chassis felt like it was built for this exact job. So when it was flat out on the expressway, it just kept pulling, like it was built for it. And if this was Japan's idea of a supercar in uniform, the next one took that idea and pushed it even further. And there's another detail sitting underneath all of this. One of these cars crossed a line that even the police didn't expect. When it showed up, everything felt a little different on the road. Number 2. Nissan GT-R R35. By the time the R35 GT-R arrived, tuned cars were outpacing even legends like the R34, so police needed something that could dominate, not just keep up. But what made this GT-R terrifying wasn't just how fast it was in a straight line. The R35 came with that 3.8-liter twin-turbo V6, the VR38, making around 480 horsepower in early form, and yeah, it was a monster. The power went through a dual-clutch gearbox and a really smart all-wheel drive system that could shift torque in real time. So even when the road got bumpy or slick, it just stayed hooked up. You'd step on it, and the car just took off. No spinning, no weird movement, it just moved. The brakes held up, the body stayed steady, and it kept doing exactly what the driver asked. So when one of these showed up behind you, yeah, that was it. But even this monster wasn't the fastest police car Japan ever put on the road, because number 1 went even further. Number 1, Nissan Skyline GT-R R35 Nismo Police Edition. By this point, Japanese police cars had become high-speed interceptors, and this was the final form of that idea. And what made this one different wasn't just the badge on the hood, it was what it could do that no other police car on Earth could match. The GT-R Nismo came with that hand-built 3.8-liter twin-turbo V6, making over 600 horsepower. And yeah, it felt every bit as serious as that number sounds. The carbon fiber hood, the big front splitter, the rear wing, all of it wasn't for looks. It was there to keep the car steady when the speed kept climbing. The Nismo version had those carbon ceramic brakes from Brembo and a suspension that was set up for racetracks, not potholes, so even at crazy speeds it didn't feel loose. And the way the turbos hit, yeah, you'd press the pedal and it just kept building harder and harder. So when a Nismo showed up in a chase, there wasn't really a long story after that. It was just a matter of time. Now that you've seen how Japan turned real supercars into police interceptors, there's another side to this story that almost nobody talks about: the police cars that looked fast, but completely fell apart when they were pushed. So click the video on screen right now, where we break down the fastest police cars that failed in the real world, and why speed alone wasn't enough. And if any of these Japanese cop cars surprised you, drop the one that shocked you most in the comments.